Hey, welcome back everyone. Ever since the very end of the Skywalker saga, a lot of fans around the world have been very intrigued about the future of the Star Wars franchise by Disney, LUCASFILM, Bob Iger, Bob Chapek, you name it, and exactly what Star Wars is going to look like in comparison to what I like to call the Kathleen Kennedy era of Star Wars. This is Mike Zero. Make sure to subscribe if you're new to the channel for future Star Wars content. Now, one thing about Disney Star Wars is that yes, we do know that they are now currently in a phase of desperation and damage control to really get the ball rolling again when it comes to this massive franchise. Essentially, what they really are trying to do is that they really are trying to bring Star Wars to the same exact level as the Marvel Cinematic Universe, also known simply as the MCU. Now, when we look at everything related to what George, John, and Dave are putting together, they really are trying to revive many of the Star Wars Legends characters that we all know and love. You know, a great example is Darth Revan, Darth Bane. Well, he's already been canon, but they want to explore him in the form of live action and animated form as well. Now, apart from all of this, what's really intriguing all has to do with, of course, Lucasfilm's Kathleen Kennedy. Now, over the years, we do know that she has been very incompetent over at Lucasfilm as the president of all things Star Wars, as the one person who really allowed all of the directors and writers to do their thing, at least in the beginning, and then slowly really progressed to becoming an individual that would really intervene or interrupt with the projects and really getting into the business of creative control, which really, ticked off a lot of fans out there, obviously, because we've seen what happened with The Rise of Skywalker. We even saw what happened with, of course, The Mandalorian Season 1. You guys may recall that in the very beginning, Jon Favreau and Kathleen Kennedy had differences before Jon Favreau finally was able to do exactly what he wanted to do with the series. Now, with that being said, now that the Skywalker saga is over, both Disney and Lucasfilm are currently focused on developing their brand new universe, as well as their techniques to reunite the Star Wars fans around the world. It's explained that currently both Bob Iger and Bob Chapek are hard at work and working closely with George Lucas, Jon Favreau, and Dave Filoni in order to create a better and brighter future for the Star Wars franchise. Now, it's explained that, however, at one point in time, actor Mark Hamill was signed on to portray the character of Luke Skywalker in live-action form on Disney Plus as a Star Wars TV series during Kathleen Kennedy had creative control over the Star Wars franchise. It's described that this TV series was aimed to take place after the events of Episode 9, that would focus on Rey's new Jedi Order and a brand new set of Jedi that would star in the series. However, Daisy Ridley was not attached to the show, where actor Mark Hamill was set to portray the character of Luke Skywalker as a Force ghost in the TV series for Disney Plus that was originally intended to release sometime in 2023 before things went downhill. Now, the first big change by Kathleen Kennedy was that she fired Mark Hamill and let him go from the Star Wars TV series for Disney Plus, in which Mark Hamill was supposed to portray a Force ghost version of Luke Skywalker, guiding some of the newly trained Jedi taking place many years after the events of The Rise of Skywalker. Now, let's just stop right here for a second, is that you guys may recall that I would say around a year ago or so is when we actually were learning more about the Disney Plus shows that were currently in the early development phase, one of which was actually a show that would feature a lot of new Jedi. This most definitely fits right into the puzzle of that. You can see exactly what Kathleen Kennedy was trying to do. She was trying to explore more of Rey's legacy in this Disney Plus TV series that would take place well after the events of Episode 9. Mark Hamill was signed on for the project. He was going to portray Luke as a Force ghost once more, and obviously things went sour. He was essentially fired from the show because of Kathleen Kennedy not wanting to deal with Luke Skywalker anymore. Now, there's more to this as to why Mark Hamill was signed on for this project in the first place, and why Mark was actually going to return as Luke Skywalker. And it really comes at no surprise, but it all had to do also with Bob Iger and George Lucas really making all of this happen in the first place. Allowing Mark Hamill to hop on board of this new Star Wars TV series that was actually untitled at the time. So, like I've said before in the past, I think that obviously this is yet another, great example that Kathleen Kennedy just does not like the Skywalkers. She doesn't like those characters. She wanted to create something of her own. Moving on. So beyond this is where it gets to be pretty much, more intense and interesting, is that, well, it's described that at one point in time, this massive change is, of course, what ultimately led Mark Hamill to making up his mind to no longer become a part of the Star Wars franchise from that point on forward, after getting fired from the Star Wars TV series for Disney+. This all took place sometime just after the release of Episode 9 back in January of this year, when Mark Hamill was let go from the project that was described to explore the new Jedi in incredible ways for the fans to witness around the world. It's noted that also Mark Hamill was very upset and frustrated over this decision by Kathleen Kennedy, as Mark Hamill was looking forward to returning as Luke Skywalker's Force Ghost in the new Star Wars TV series for Disney+. Now, Kathleen Kennedy is said to have made this actual decision since this was an all initially set up done between Bob Iger and George Lucas that eventually fell through and did not work out, since Kathleen Kennedy had creative control over the Star Wars roadmap at the time in order to take Star Wars in a direction full of agendas and personal requests of her own. Now, once again, guys, like I say, here we have George Lucas and Bob Iger at the very minimum trying to give Mark Hamill more work after Episode 9. All of this fell through, all of this did not work out in the long run because Kathleen Kennedy wanted nothing to do with the character of Luke after she worked with Mark Hamill on Episode 9. And that's rather unfortunate, because there could have been so much more explored with the character of Luke Skywalker. But at the end of the day, I think that this may have been a blessing in disguise. I really do. Because this show sounds like it would have been so pretty much boring and just very underwhelming, given that Kathleen Kennedy was going to throw all her agendas in this, and also given that Mark Hamill was going to return as a Force Ghost once again. But however, here we also have, George Lucas, Jon Favreau, and Dave Filoni working on the Rise of Skywalker sequel series, which is going to be an animated form, very lifelike animation, that's going to bring a return of Luke Skywalker, Ben Solo, Anakin Skywalker, and even Palpatine, as well as Rey and her children, in that animated series, due for release sometime in 23 or 24. Now, beyond this, Kathleen Kennedy had no issue firing Mark Hamill from the project, and did not want him on board of the Star Wars franchise in the series. Mark Hamill got into many arguments over this decision by Kathleen Kennedy for making the character of Luke Skywalker irrelevant in the show. However, once Chapek took over Disney, the entire show went downhill and was eventually canceled by Bob Chapek and creator George Lucas to clear way for a better Star Wars TV series for Disney Plus and more. Mark Hamill was very angry at this decision, however, since has moved on to other roles in the franchise. So once again, guys, like I said, this just really gives us the greatest example of all, that Kathleen Kennedy does not know what she's doing as president of LUCASFILM. There's no doubt about this. She doesn't really care about what the Star Wars fans want to see on the big screen. Even though I believe that this project would have been a dumpster fire, I really do believe that. I do believe that this was a blessing in disguise. But at the end of the day, it was still work for Mark Hamill. It was still a project for him at the time. And in my mind, how dare Kathleen Kennedy even fire Mark Hamill from the project, and allowing Mark Hamill to have pretty much no work at all for X amount of time before he moved on to other projects. So good for him, at least. Good for him that he's got other projects that he's working on. He's working on a ton of animated material right now as we speak, and other, live action sitcoms out there that he's actually a part of, that he's going to be pretty much, acting in the next couple of years. So, like I've said before in the past, guys, I think that Mark Hamill deserved so much better in the sequel trilogy. It's very much unfortunate for this man of what he had to go through because of Kathleen Kennedy's shenanigans. And overall, when we look at what happened with the Rise of Skywalker, we could have seen so much more in Episode 9 than what we actually got on the big screen. So, like I've said before in the past, guys, drop a comment below. Let me know about all of this in the comments. And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, do make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.
Gun in hand, nights alone.